Hi, it's me again, and it's about 9:39 in the evening here in Maryland, and just wanted to expand a little bit on what I said before about the two wartime soldiers, Michael Whitman and Audie Murphy. And when we think about causes and so forth, and what one thing means over another, and its ultimate conclusion and what the consequences could have been if things had changed, I often think to myself that whether, no matter what cause you fight for, the soldier goes into battle with all of his heart when he gets to the point that Michael Whitman and Audie Murphy were at. Audie Murphy fighting for the Allied side in the United States Army 3rd Infantry Division, and Michael Whitman in the German Army as Waffen-SS, and eventually became company commander of Tiger tanks, heavy tanks. And these types of his cause probably would have led to, had he won, who knows what would have happened. Certainly Jews as a race, as they were considered a race, which is kind of a strange thing in itself when you think about that, would have been wiped off the face of the earth as far as Europe is concerned. And quite a few other ethnic groups would have gone with them. The Jews were just the first step. When you think about the Slavs and various other people, anybody who wasn't of Teutonic blood was in great danger. And so this was the ultimate goal of Hitler and the Third Reich. So Michael Whitman was fighting for that cause, even though he may very well himself have not even believed in it. It's hard to say. But I don't know. I haven't seen his personal letters, and I haven't seen a book written about him that is comprehensive biography. So I don't know if any scholar has really gone into it that deep. But it doesn't really matter. If it was the other way around and the United States was fighting that kind of a war, then one could say the same thing about Audie Murphy. And maybe you could anyway, because when you take a look at the United States in the 1940s, 1941 to 45, African Americans and Native Americans were not only second-class citizens, they were last-class citizens. Asian Americans as well, you know, the Japanese Americans and so forth. This was a Eurocentric country, white European tradition country, dominated by whites. In the South, the black vote had been virtually wiped out since 1910. Starting from 1872 to 1910, the disfranchisement movement, which was propelled along by the amendment of the state constitutions, virtually buried the black vote and brought back virtual slavery and peonage. And, you know, I sometimes think about that, you know, when you take a look at the difference between the Nazis and the United States, say, with its racial policies and so forth. And you had various others too. I mean, one needs to read the book War Against the Weak, or go to a website about eugenics and see how that affected political thought and lawmaking in the United States, and you'll understand what I'm talking about right away. So was Audie Murphy, did he know about this? Did he believe in it? Was he fighting for this when he was fighting against the German army? I don't know. Maybe he didn't know anything about it. He didn't mention it in his book To Hell and Back. And I haven't seen any interviews or read any of his personal letters, so I don't know about anything else he may or may not have known. But the difference between the Germans and the Americans, it didn't seem to be a national policy to wipe out a specific race of people. At least that doesn't appear to be. There was certain laws which made it possible to authorize the forced castration of people with mental disabilities and things of that nature, and that kind of thing. And you can read about that in the book War Against the Weak. I think that should be necessary reading in high schools as far as I'm concerned. And so you know where we've been coming from. Maybe we still are there for all I know. I don't know. That's why some people fear abortion, because of that. It's not just the idea of a bundle of cells put together, and they're not viable, and they don't think, they can't come up with a song, and they can't talk, and all that kind of thing. But it's if we can justify one thing, what else can we justify? And whether we're ignorant of the consequences or not, the consequences occur, and most of the time they're unintended. They just happen, because people will jump on the bandwagon. Now, the very same reasoning can be used to argue against civil rights as well, but I think the big difference is that we put on a piece of paper a policy, a philosophy of being that adjudged all humanity as being born equal in the eyes of a creator. You know, the assumption was that we were created equal, and therefore if we are created equal, then we all are allowed to come through the front door. We don't have to ride in the back of the bus or go to the back door. And that's the big difference. Biologically, it has been proven that all human beings are similar, and as to the placement of their organs, the size and weight of certain organs and so forth might vary from race to race. That's hard to say. But they're all the same. A doctor practicing in the United States can go over to Indonesia, Africa, China, or Europe, or anywhere and practice, because the human anatomy is virtually the same. It's no real difference in the organs and how they work and everything else. There might be differences in body chemistry because of diet and exposure to different environments, but the main thing is that we're all basically the same that way. And I know I'm not saying this scientifically, and you can argue with that all day long, but the main thing is national policy is what we're talking about, what the difference was between the United States and Germany in World War II. Now, for Germany, I think it was probably you would find it difficult, although I could be wrong, maybe somebody could correct me on this, to find another country that would put on paper a program for wiping out an entire group of people, man, woman, child, and put on display the artifacts of their culture as a traveling museum, which Nazis did in World War II. In fact, you can see that display. Sometimes there is a tour in the United States where you can go look at it. It's pretty chilling, and something that needs to be thought about when you go down a certain road. Are we headed in that direction? I don't think a holy man or a holy book needs to be consulted for that, but you need to take a look at whether or not there are unintended consequences for the actions that we take, I guess. And in thinking that we're doing something good, are we not launching some sort of evil? You know, with civil rights, I think there was nothing but good that came of that. I don't consider that a bad thing. And women's rights, the women's right to vote and to enter economic fields of progress, going up the corporate ladder, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you get into these other areas, it gets very dicey. Well, it's just something that I'm thinking about, and I know it's not coming across the way I would like it to, but hopefully it'll give you some idea.